Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Perhaps the question I get asked the most is how can I check the value of my Pokemon cards? Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or you're just curious what your cards are worth, learning how to check the value, or what we call comp your cards, is essential. In this video, I'll break down how I comp cards and will provide timestamps below for the different categories of products since I comp them differently depending on what the product is. Let's get into it. Let's start with raw singles, specifically modern English singles, since I comp vintage and non-English cards differently. For raw modern English singles, the market standard is to look at tcgplayer.com. Since I got asked about this a few times at a recent card show, for purposes of checking the value of your cards, the different numbers like HP or the damage that the moves do on your Pokemon do not matter. Those are only relevant if you're playing the TCG. The only text that's important when you're looking up comps for your card is the name, the card number in the bottom corner, and sometimes the set name. You can search the name of the card you're looking for in the search bar, or you can just search it in Google and add TCG Player at the end of your query. So let's say, for example, I'm looking for Team Rocket's Mewtwo. Let's say I want to look at the SIR. So you can see here, all the results will show up with Team Rocket's Mewtwo in the name. We've got the boxes here, some sealed products. I am looking specifically for the SIR, Special Illustration Rare. There's one here, this is the English version, which is what I'm looking for. They also have Japanese on TCG Player, but like I'll get into later, I don't usually use TCG Player to comp Japanese cards. So let's say this is the card I want to look for. The first thing you want to do is click on the card you want, then go to Filters. As you can see, this pop-up will show up. So I want to filter by condition. I guess for this Mewtwo, they only have near mint and lightly played. For anyone who's brand new into, maybe you're joining back in the hobby recently, or you're just starting to collect, I'll pop up on the screen a condition guide that TCG Player made, just to give you a general guideline of how to check the condition of your cards. Generally, if you're opening up a brand new pack, your cards should be near mint. Sometimes they could be lightly played, or they could even have damage on it, so just make sure to check the condition guide. Filter by the condition that you want, so let's say I want a near mint card, that's what I'll check here, English, and that should filter your results. So we want to scroll down a little bit, and as you can see, here is the market price for a near mint holofoil of this Mewtwo SIR. That's exactly what we want. We can see the market price is $581. That's basically how you can comp modern English cards. However, for some cards that are a little more volatile, you can see here, TCG Player provides you with extra information. So this chart here is just market price history. You can change the results based on your time frame. If you want to see 1 month to a year, you can see how the card's been performing. So you can see back in September, the card was worth about $420, and now it's climbed up to $580. Another important area that I like to look at is if you click View More Data, you can see the recent sales of the card. Just because the market price is $582 doesn't mean it's always going to sell at that price. As you can see in these results here, the last sale was actually much cheaper than that. It was $504. But then the one before that, I don't know why someone bought this, was $689. As you can see, it varies pretty significantly. But this information is pretty helpful, especially for cards that are volatile like this one. Lastly, what I also like to look at is if you scroll down, you can see the current listings for your card. So as you can see here, this is a Korean Mewtwo. This guy has details you can click on, and you can see photos of the exact card that you would be buying. And because there's no Korean on TCG Player, I guess some people like to put Korean or even Chinese cards in the English listings, which I don't like because that can also affect the market value of the English cards just by bringing it down, because Korean and Chinese cards are typically a lot cheaper. Anyway, so let's look at the English cards in particular. As you can see, there's a few listings for $499. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here. So if the market price is $580, but there's listings for $500, maybe the market price is a little bit inflated. You can use all this information to your advantage so you can properly comp your cards. For vintage cards and for non-English cards, meaning Japanese, Chinese, whatever other language you want to look for, I usually use eBay. TCG Player recently added Japanese. If you filter here, you can search Pokemon Japan, which just means Japanese Pokemon cards, and you can search for whatever you want. So if we see a trending search of Charizard, it'll only show Japanese Charizards. But for many Japanese cards, especially ones from slightly older sets that aren't super modern, there won't be any listings at all. So let's see, Charizard from the Break Starter Pack. Yeah, no market price, no listings at all. So when it comes to vintage and non-English cards, I typically use eBay. All you do is just like TCG Player, you search the name of the card, followed by keywords like the set name, for example. You can look up the card number, you can type in the language. So in this example, I'm looking up a Japanese card. Reds Challenge from Tag Team GX All-Stars, which is a really good set. This card in particular is exclusive to Japanese, I believe. It's not in English for sure. So as you can see here, I'm looking up the Reds Challenge. So again, I would filter by sold items, look for a raw copy, and there we go. One thing to note, especially for Japanese cards or vintage cards in particular, is you want to make sure you look at the condition of the card. Because unlike TCG Player, where you have to put the condition and filter it by the condition, on eBay, people can list whatever they want. A lot of times they'll inaccurately claim something's near mint when it should be lightly played or moderately played even. As you can see, this card sold for $250. It was best offer accepted, so it'd be a little bit less than that. Centering is not great on the back, but everything else looks pretty good about it. So to me, this would be a near mint card, and I would value it around, let's say $200. Let's see if we can see one more sale of a raw card in a similar condition. So here's one from September 20th, another one from September 16th. I would just check the condition, make sure it looks near mint. This one looks pretty clean. This one looks good. Check the back. Back looks pretty clean. So I'd be comfortable comping this card around $200 to $225. Okay, next let's look at sealed products. Comping sealed products is very similar to comping raw singles. For modern English products, I just use TCG Player again. Search the name of the product in the search bar or in Google search, click on the product you're looking for, and look at the market price. So again, let's look at an example. Let's say Surging Sparks Booster Box. Type in the search bar. We'll get all these Surging Sparks results. Here's a case, half booster box. So I want the Surging Sparks booster box. Usually don't even need to filter it for sealed products, and scroll down. There is the current market price, $266. That is pretty high. Again, just like for raw singles, I often find it useful to analyze additional information, such as the market price history chart, lowest listed prices, which we can see here, and latest sales if you click view more data. And again, just like for raw singles, if you're looking up vintage or non-English cards, you can again use eBay. So for example, let's say I'm looking up Dream League booster boxes, which is a very popular Japanese set. These are the search results here. These are the current listings and what's currently available. You can filter it by sold items. And these are the recent comps. I would take an average and say 800, 645, 800, 625, 620, 517, add them all, come up with an average, and that would be a more accurate market price than if you just looked at the most recent sold. Lastly, let's talk about graded cards. There are many different sites and apps people use to comp graded cards, such as Price Charting, Alt, 130 Point, Collector, and even eBay. From my experience, Alt and eBay last solds have generally been the most accurate and reliable, but let me know in the comments if you have a different take. For Alt, you need to download the app on your phone and either search the name of the card you're looking up, or you can just scan the card if you have it in hand. I like to include the grade in my search result, such as PSA 10, and filter by last solds. Just like before, I take the average of recent comps to get a fair valuation. Like with other cards, for raw and for sealed, I always recommend doing more research than less if you have the time, so feel free to use the other sites and apps I mentioned to compare comps. And that's how I check the value of singles, sealed products, and graded cards. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing to see more videos like this one. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, or feel free to ask me on Instagram where I'm most responsive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.